Hello and welcome to Illumination Podcast with Nick and Kisma. I'm Kisma, and today's episode is special. It's called Healing from the Inside Out. And we have a guest, Jenny Carr, who is a speaker, mompreneur, leading inflammation expert, and international best-selling author of Piece of Cake. And mind you, Peace is P-E-A-C-E. Piece of Cake, the secret to an anti-inflammatory diet. You're going to be blown away by her story of near-death experience, rising up, and what she's doing now to help so many people who are struggling with their health. Well, hello there, Nick. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you, Kisma?
It's been a busy week so far.
Beyond. Yeah.
Beyond. Tell me a little bit about your busyness.
I got a little derailed, actually. So I don't generally like talking to lawyers. Not that I don't have anything against them.
We have some listening. We love you, lawyers.
We love you so much.
Yeah.
And personally, I think they're wonderful.
Yeah,
and I have some clients that I truly love. And when I have to speak with them about business and things like that, is like, it super stresses me out.
Yeah.
And it's very tedious. Like, it's a whole different gear for my brain.
It's a different language.
Yeah. And I don't even, like, my brain doesn't know sometimes what to do with that. Like, it's such a different gear. And I feel like I'm trying to drive down the freeway in like second gear. And that's what my brain feels like.
Have you recovered?
I have, yeah.
Okay.
I had to do some things.
You had to do some
things.
It
It wasn't my normal, like, oh, cut the cords, we're good to go. It was like, ooh, I need a moment. I needed a little time out after that. So it just added some busyness to the week and to some things like that. But other than that, it's been really exciting. It's cool that that's happening, because it means
good things are coming.
It means it's
not a problematic lawyer conversation. It's a good lawyer conversation.
It's a good lawyer conversation, and it's setting the stage to really make sure that the foundation of the things that we're doing is really clean and clear and all set. It's like all necessary kind of things.
Yeah.
But not my...
Burnt your brain.
Not my strong suit.
Okay. Yeah. Got it. Well, it's been a good week for me. Lots of cool client success in the prosperity code, and planning for, I've got a 1-day workshop this weekend, and heading to Maui with a group of girls. Pretty cool.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
Maui. I'll miss you in Maui.
I know. We'll miss you, but it is a girl time.
It's a girl thing. I get it. Yeah, totally.
Little soul retreat. But today, for our listeners, that we don't have a lot of guests. We bring maybe one guest on a month, and the fabulous woman that we have today, I've been really wanting for a long time to get her on. Jenny Carr, you've already heard, she's just a phenomenal speaker, mompreneur. She has so much experience in resolving and solving inflammation. And let's just bring her on, because I know we're going to get so many gems of wisdom through diet, nutrition, and we're going to be able to talk spirituality, which is always something that we're excited to talk about. So Miss Jenny Carr, welcome to Illumination Podcast. It's so great to have you here.
Yay. Thank you so much. I'm jazzed to be here.
I knew you'd bring like a whole bunch of fun energy to the show. What's your day like? Where are you calling in from?
Oh, my word. I'm calling in from Jackson Hole, Wyoming, my hometown.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I've never been there, but I've heard it's so beautiful.
It's on the bucket list.
Yeah, that's why our internet may have been a little
That's all right. It's worth it for Jackson Hole. So did you grow up there, and now you're raising your family there?
That is exactly right. Yeah, I grew up here. I moved around. I've traveled a ton, but definitely home. I'm a mountain girl.
Oh, I love that. And just give us a little backstory on your family, your kids, etc., so our listeners know more about you personally.
All right. Well, I have 2 adorable little kids. My son is 9, so not super little anymore. And my daughter is 5, and they're just like, they're my teachers, truly. They, they teach me more about life and living than probably anyone else that I have encountered. So that's pretty special. And I'm married to my husband, Brock Carr, who is a super incredible support system for my health, for, parenting and friendship and adventures and business. So pretty amazing.
Well, I know whenever I see you on Facebook or we're on a group call together with some of our mentors, you you always like grab life to live it. I always sense that from you. It's like, even if something challenging is going on, I always get the sense of like, Jenny's finding a way to right the ship, to really have gratitude for every moment. And sometimes when we land in that way, it's because we've experienced the opposite. And I know that's the case in your life where you had a near-death experience. You've had some issues with autoimmune disease, et cetera. Could you just tell us what happened and when that really changed your life?
Yeah, I am so honored that you see that, because it is my view, like, make every moment count. And when you do experience a near-death experience, or, I had a chronic condition that lasted for a number of years. I had 4 strains of Lyme disease and a parasite infection so severe. The parasites put holes through almost all of my organs, ate away my endocrine glands. And when I realized that I had this Lyme and the parasites, when they die, they release viruses and neurotoxins, fungus. And so I ended up also with a really rare strain, a virus that causes leukemia. So I didn't get leukemia, luckily, but my body was under siege. And it was, there were many days I didn't think I'd wake up to see the next. It was super scary. So coming out of it gives you a whole new perspective on life. For sure.
And I think you were an athlete too. I think you are still an athlete, but is that correct?
Yeah, I was a Division I cross-country ski racer, marathon runner, mountain climber. I'm a mountain girl, so I love doing all those things. Endurance sports was my thing, and slowly getting back to it as I come out on the other side of this illness. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, one of the things I've noticed, and I'm curious about your experience with this, is that because I've worked with people who have autoimmune diseases, and it's notoriously difficult to diagnose, to even figure out what the heck is going on. Was that part of the journey for you as well, or is that like more of a universal thing?
I would say it's a universal thing. It's difficult for people to get accurate diagnoses, and it took me about 1.5 years before I had any doctor believe me when I said I had parasites, because I actually saw them come out of me. Sorry, a little too much information, but this is like real life.
It's radical authenticity here.
Yeah. So you actually saw them leave your body, or was
leave my body, because it was like I was in a sci-fi movie. I've never wanted to crawl out of my skin, jump out of it actually, more than during that time period. It was really freaky. And so it was difficult, very difficult to get an accurate diagnosis. I went to many specialists, parasitologist specialists, many different types of MD doctors and naturopathic doctors and alternative doctors, functional doctors. And took me about 1.5 years to finally get a diagnosis.
Well, what were they saying to you? Were they like, well, there's nothing wrong with you? Or were they saying that you're crazy? Or they're like, it seems like something is wrong, but we don't know, what did they do?
It depends on which doctor, because I went to So some of the earlier on doctors told me, you're just used to feeling really good. You're just going through a difficult time. There was a lot of stress in our life. And I'm like, you guys, my legs would literally become paralyzed. I would wake up and be unable to move them. When I could move them, I would walk into walls because I was so dizzy. I could think of words, but I was unable to speak them because the parasites and the Lyme had gone into my brainstem, into my spinal cord. It'd been in me for 20 years and I didn't know it. And so it was causing havoc on every layer, every system in my body. And as an athlete, you are typically pretty in tune with your body. And I had practiced anti-inflammatory eating for about 4 years prior to this, and really listening to my body, asking what my body needs, really honoring that space. And so I knew that it wasn't that I just was not feeling well, right? Or I was used to feeling good. I knew there was something wrong.
Right. I want to interject here because we talk about this intuitive channel so much. And for me, it's just, if nothing else, it's like there's a lesson like, Miss Jenny, your intuition is strong and you're going to listen forevermore, because I know you do. Because as an athlete, just because you're amazing and you're strong and then you go to feeling really crappy, for doctors to be like, oh yeah, you're just under stress. And you to know and have that voice, it was something so much more. It must have been frustrating at times, yet it kept you on your path. Like you kept searching and seeking because you had this knowing.
Yeah. Well, it saved my life. I mean, straight up. That's
right.
My intuition has, the awareness of my intuition has increased so much during this journey, both in knowing that I just need to trust, and also learning on how to get really silent and spending time with myself and
right.
Has been, it's been an incredible journey. And as scary as it was, I cannot believe I'm saying this. Like, I am on many levels grateful that I went through it. Not that I had to go through it that hardcore, but I've gained so much from the lessons learned in this path. And that has been a gift. There's always a gift out of every dark, challenging situation in life, I believe, or at least I have experienced that. And this is definitely one of my gifts, is increasing my intuition.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I just think that's so important. And it sounds like to me, like you're the gift. Like you're the gift that came out of it, because you're coming out of it in a different way. And you have an ability to help people and a place for them to turn, so that they don't have to go down that same route with all the pain and the frustration and the really, I got to imagine the despair that goes along with feeling like, I know something's wrong, but nobody can tell me what's wrong, and I don't know where to turn, but I can't freaking get through my day, like that's got to be something really profound.
Well, and I bet there are other women that have gone through elements of that. And so for them to hear your voice, they're like, oh, it's not just me, which I'm sure you've had so many stories of women, men coming to you and being like, thank you, because now I know, like, it's not me.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is it. One of my lessons was on how to move through the loneliness, like it being, having an autoimmune disease, I think generally speaking, but especially something like parasites or Lyme, that's extra difficult to diagnose, is incredibly lonely. Like I remember my husband just being so scared, and he's like, what is going on? But he couldn't wrap his brain around it. So he kind of, it was like, it's this really tricky dance with people. And at many stages, you're fine. Like I could wake up and be like, oh my gosh, I actually feel okay. I can get up. I can drive my kids to school. And with a matter of minutes, and sometimes even seconds, the neurotoxins would release and I would be on my back. And so when people see you, they're like, oh, she's fine. But then you like immediately have to retreat. I mean, I literally had to pull over on the side of highways because I was like, I'm about to pass out, call my parents and say, you got to come get the kids. I mean, it was like touch and go.
It's almost like a ghost comes up and injects you with something and you get knocked out, but it's actually coming from within inside of you.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a good analogy.
Well, the beautiful piece of all of this is, as much as you were being kind of ripped apart from the inside out, you then healed from the inside out. And you have an amazing platform. You've had, publications and yourself put on CNBC, NBC, ABC. You're getting out there. You have a beautiful business and you have a book and an ebook. But tell us about, which we will get to and make sure everyone has access to. But tell us a bit about when you started to have the energy and the focus to create this business that is helping so many people.
Yeah. Well, Nick, when you just said you were the gift, I almost started crying over here. Because for you to just see that means the world. When I was in my darkest dark moments, the two things that got me through was family and knowing that I was going through this so that I could learn, so I could walk my talk, so I could heal and help other people move through this, because it is not fun and it's scary and lonely. And so that was my passion. I had to, at the time, for a number of years, I was bedridden the majority of the 2 or 3 years. And so for a large period of that time, I closed down my private practice. I wasn't able to take clients, and not serving my purpose and my passion to help others. It was causing me to get sicker. There was like a hole in my heart, a hole in my being. And when I applied to write this book and I was accepted, it was a way for me. I remember I was lying in bed sending in my proposal, and I thought, okay, when I feel okay in those moments, I can take out my computer, I can lie in bed, and I can start writing. And it was my way to begin serving. And I really feel that was a big turning point in my healing, because I was able to show up once again and help others.
That's awesome. You said something that I want to circle back to that I thought was really interesting, though, is you talked about when, just feeling disconnected from your mission and that actually making you sicker.
Yeah.
So in your situation, it sounds like you had, you already had some things that were making that hard enough.
Right.
And that was thrown on top of it. Now, I look beyond this at folks who maybe don't have the physical condition or circumstances that you were going through, yet they're still not following their mission. Mm-hmm. And there's a part of them that starts to get sicker, just maybe on a slower timeline.
Yeah.
It seems like to me, but I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that. And if you can talk a little bit about that importance of mission and being connected to that in the overall scheme of health.
Yeah, that's such an important topic. We all innately want to help people, right? Like we are a community, this collective oneness community. So for lack of better terms. And whether you are a painter or a waitress or a banker, like we're all helping to improve one another's life by showing up in this world. Even if you're a mom, like it doesn't matter. We're all connected, and we're all, the more we show up, the more we can help one another. So when we're not in alignment with our mission, with our highest truth, there is a piece of us. In the scientific world, we say that our cells are either degenerating or regenerating. And if you look at life itself, it does the same thing. It either regenerates or degenerates, right? An aspen tree will bloom in the spring, and then the leaves will slowly start to degenerate. You'll see examples of this all throughout the world and in nature. And I think the same thing happens on a very kind of mental, emotional perspective, and how that changes our physiological body when we are not living it in our truth, which to me, a piece of that is following our passion and our mission.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I just think it's so important, and it's something that folks tend to put off.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's not the thing that often screams at them. Like it screamed at you because you knew.
Yeah.
Right. And you were especially sensitive to those downturns. But for people who are kind of out there in their everyday, day-to-day, mundane things, not that mundane's bad, just that it's like, okay, well, I'm getting the kids to school and I'm making this, and, I have a career, and that's really all these really important things. I'll get to my purpose some other time.
Yeah. It's like the diet that never actually
right. Totally going to do that diet. Totally going to do it.
I'm going to do my purpose, damn it. And
well, I think too, from a physiological standpoint, when we're out of alignment, it causes stress, right? And
so totally.
If you want to do and you're not following that truth of yours, we become out of alignment. That causes stress, and stress is one of the top 5 things that causes chronic inflammation in the body. This inflammation is the root cause of every chronic ailment, condition, disease, both physical, behavioral, and mental, emotional. So it really impacts us.
Okay. So I'm getting super excited now.
Yeah. Watch out, guys. We're geeking out.
No, that aspect of stress is something that I know intuitively. I understand to a degree. Because I study energetics and I've, I just am really attuned to how that affects my body and my energy. But I know that you know more about that. And I want to know more about that, of like, what are some of the reactions that it triggers in the body, and how does that actually, like, what's that, the word I'm looking for is like, what's that chain reaction it sets off when a person starts to get into that perpetual stress state?
Yeah. Okay. Well, here's some really fun facts, right? All right. Our liver and our large intestine are the largest producers of neurotransmitters, which are what are sent to our brain to help us feel grounded, have more clarity. And they also are directly correlated with the hormone production in our brain that gives us an overall sense of well-being. So if we have inflammation, whether it be from stress, whether it be often from diet or not enough water, environmental toxins, right? Especially diet and not enough water, those are going directly into our liver, which is responsible for processing the majority of toxins and inflammation in our body. Same thing with our large intestine. If we're putting food or drinks, whatever it may be, that are full of inflammation, those two organs never get to the secondary job, which is to create their neurotransmitters. Instead, they're trying to process the toxins and inflammation. So what so many people tell me, Nick and Kisma, is that when they adopt this way of eating, when they push inflammation from their body, right, they become less angry. Chronic anxiety disappears. Chronic depression goes away. They have mental clarity, brain fog lifts, and they have just this overall sense of joy, vitality, and vibrancy in their mental and emotional well-being.
I love this. And everything you're describing in the physical, Nick, it's interesting because we both do a lot of, like he said, energy work. Nick's an amazing healer, and we're always solving and resolving the chakras and the strata that are related to the gut, that are related to the liver, that are related to that entire area. Yet the energy can be clean, but if one is not eating in a way that allows the body to also stay clean, it can all get congested very quickly.
Yeah, you really do have to address it all. It's kind of like, okay, well, I just cleaned this beautiful floor. Like I remember when I was a kid, don't walk on the floor, because my mom just cleaned it, right? It's kind of the same thing. Though it's like you clean it all up and then you go and binge on a bunch of sugar. Well, like what just happened?
Right.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And it's also, I was just talking to a client about this very similar type of conversation before we spoke. And I was saying, the three things that I think were most profound in my healing was both like energetic and mindset, right? Spirituality, however you want to call it, the food, and then taking like the correct supplements to upregulate detox pathways, which is necessary when you've got parasites or neurotoxins in your body from Lyme. But without each of those, the complete healing wasn't there. So for a long time, what happened was I was taking all of the action. I was doing everything right. All the supplements, all the alternative doctors, regular doctors, eating right, drinking right, like doing all of that. But the piece around my own self-worth, my own love, my own authentic gratitude for my body was missing. And I would be like, yes, I'm grateful for your body. Okay, like enough, move on, right? Like it wasn't authentic.
Yeah, right.
And it wasn't until that piece fully came into play and I was able to see how I wasn't actually authentically gratitude and grateful and had love for my body, and suddenly like I then was filled with love and authentic gratitude. It wasn't until that the whole healing happened. So I was so frustrated for a long time because I'm like, I'm doing everything right. But there was this missing piece of connecting with the body.
Absolutely. It's like the quantum piece. I mean, this is certainly what we work on every single day with our clients. It's like whatever we're putting out, we're getting back. And that includes what we're putting out to ourselves. And it's just, what I get, sometimes I get a little woo on these calls, but it's almost like God, the universe said, okay, Jenny, you know what? You're fabulous. And we're going to take you like through 1,000 lifetimes of karma so you can land where you are now and help all the people that you're helping. And it was really, really tough. Yet you saw the complete picture and you experienced the complete picture. And now you're able to share that with other people. So thank you for going through that. And I do know that all of that is really serving everyone that you come in contact. I mean, we're certainly learning a lot here. I love it.
Yeah.
Chills. I get full chills when you It's so true. I was, this person who I was speaking with, she said, she and I were talking and she said, we're talking about how 80% of our thoughts are repetitive, right? So we have so many, when you're going through a chronic health condition, so many of our thoughts are repetitive. And there's almost like this PTSD type experience that people with chronic illness often experience when a symptom shows up. So you get a migraine or you get a big flare up or a Herxheimer reaction. And then it's like, oh no, not again. And we go and we live in the past instead of living in the moment, where it may not
Right.
be as bad as it was before, but our thoughts are in the past. So then we continue to experience the symptoms just as bad. And I said, well, I asked this woman, why you are healing. Everyone else is healing, but not you. Why do you think that is? And she said, I don't want to heal because my kids don't believe me that I'm sick. I want to prove to them that I'm sick.
Ooh. Need to be right.
Yeah.
Like,
we see it so much.
You can discover that awareness is up and you can have immediate healing. It's
right.
Cool.
It is. I totally get that. And it's like, are we going to live from the paradigm of the past, of everything that we've seen and experienced? I mean, it's very real to people and it's very sensory based. Or are we choosing the new paradigm in the belief our body really wants to heal, our energy field wants to heal? Yeah. And that's like really stepping into a different level of faith. So speaking about that, you know, all three of us have spent time in India. We all have our spiritual practices. And I know, Jenny, you had mentioned to me, you've been to, I think it was Oneness. Mm-hmm. And we were at One World, which is kind of a sister ashram. But there was something very significant that happened for you there. Would you share with us what that was like?
Yeah, I'm at magic, blah, blah. I can't even talk. I've been to what was the Oneness University. Now they've merged and they're called O&O Academy. But
oh, cool. Okay, good.
So I've been there 3 times, and honestly, what was most magical actually happened here in the States, you guys. It was through a Oneness course. And it was, I've taken a million courses, and it's just so many layers, right? Like you're feeling back the layers. Okay. And I showed up to this course, and what I really saw was the moment in my childhood it was the exact moment when I went from freedom, when you're just little and you can run around the yard naked and you don't care, whatever. So it was that moment of freedom to the situation that took place. Someone said something to me that made me all of a sudden extremely conscious of my body, self-conscious.
Yes.
And I was like, wait a second, something's wrong with me. And I didn't know this was happening. This was all subconscious and was shown to me during this course. But what I saw was that all the external negative situations that I experienced, and it showed me kind of a timeline of my life from when I was in elementary school and I thought no one liked me, to middle school when it was like, again, like still feeling like no one liked me. High school, I was a super athlete, but then I was so hard on myself. Like, well, what, you're getting second or third place, why can't you get first? And when I had babies and my body didn't bounce back, like, what's wrong with you, body? So all these external negative situations, I blamed them on my body. Mm-hmm. And it was all back to that one moment. So as soon as I saw that moment and then was like fast forward living through my life of all of these things, how I blamed everything on my body when I was in a journey of trying to love my body, right? But the truth was I didn't love my body. I was trying to, but I didn't. Like I authentically did not. And I saw this image of, in my meditation, of this dog that came over to me and looked at me, and it said, no matter how much you treat me poorly, no matter how many times you kick me or yell at me, I will always be here. I will always love you. It's that like loyal, unconditional dog. And then I heard this voice that said, that is your body. And I don't know why that image or why those words, but it just all clicked. And it was in that moment, I just felt so much light, so much healing. And I told the instructor, I said, I just had so much healing. I don't know what happened, but that was insane. And that was the end. Like I am told from the practitioners I've been to since then, which was about 6 months ago, that my autoimmune condition is gone. Gone.
Wow.
Because you're supposed to live with an autoimmune condition the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So they say. And
Exactly.
now you're just,
dun, dun, dun.
And right. And you're just proving them wrong. And I absolutely love that. It's to be able to thread back, because so much happens. A child is like just a sponge. We're walking around in the subconscious state from the time we're born to age 7, pretty much. And everything gets absorbed, and it's either going to threaten our love, our safety, our self-esteem. And when we can get back and repattern that, and what you share is like so much inspiration for people to accept the vehicle, which is divine, the spirit, which is divine, all of us, every part of us is divine, and to allow the healing and to accept the healing. It's so good.
It's so good. And I think it is taking action, right? Like take action, like drink your water, eat clean food, like take action to remove inflammation from the body or heal or take supplements, like take that action. And there's this whole nother piece that is crucial in merging the puzzle pieces together.
Well, I feel like the actions you talk about, and we'll get to some of your tips in a second, they are simply in alignment with the acceptance of the healing and the love of self. You know, if you had this experience of, it's almost like you did your own psychic surgery, right? If you had this experience, yet you turned around and you didn't take the actions that you knew, it would be a denial of the healing. So being on track with all of it is super essential.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that stands out to most to me and the piece that I really want to honor in you is that it appears like a miracle. Mm-hmm. You know, there's this one thing that was healed and then you literally buck the whole system and everything that they tell you about your condition and prove them wrong. And that to most people is a miracle. But what I think is really beautiful about it is actually it's everything that you did leading up to that allowed that moment to happen. Yes. And when you were in that moment, your receptivity to be able to do that.
Amen.
You know, I think those things are really important. Yeah. And that's the piece where, like, I don't want to disillusion our audience and just say, like, all you need is some big spiritual, you know, experience in order to transform. Like, that's a part of it.
It's part of it. You have responsibility. Look at what she did.
That's right.
I know. Right. Never stopping.
Yeah. And there's a million, I mean, more than a million moments that, Jenny, that you could have stopped along the way. Right. You could have never shown up to that event. You could have, when you started to have those memories come back to you and that awareness come to you, you could have shut it down and all the millions of other reasons that you could have not been there, but you did it. Yeah. And I think that's like, if I don't know, if I had a wish for our audience to take away one thing, it's to recognize in you all of the yeses that you said and how you stayed with that all the way through to find the complete solution. And I just think that's the coolest thing.
And receiving the miracle at hand, because we've got miracles everywhere. Yeah. Oh, I love that. How's that make you feel, Jenny?
I'm namaste both of you. You can't see me. Thank you so much. And it is true. I did think of that because, you know, it's like for so long I was desperate for the one thing. I was desperate for the magic pill, the golden key. Like, just give me something that's going to heal me. Like, I'm a good person. Just come on. Like, I've done it all. And it was the ability to hold hope, belief, and trust. Mm-hmm.
Mm. And correct me if I have this wrong, but I bet there was a moment where you let go. Right. And you, rather than the desperate, I've got to have it, you were just like, let go and received.
1000%.
Yeah.
And I think go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, that's like using the law of non-resistance. It's like, it's right there. It's right there.
So incredibly scary with someone who has a chronic illness in particular, especially life-threatening chronic illness that this is going to make me cry, that you're surrendering to the rest of your life being like that.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Right.
Everything. Yeah. And it is where the magic takes place. You just trust.
Oh, I love that. I love it. Nick, you just wrote down a couple words.
Well, that's our word, definitely. Sometimes this is something I'm starting to do because is to get some of our memes, you know.
Oh, right. Well, you got good ones right there from Jenny. Right. Can you share them now?
I am. I'm sharing them right now. Hope, belief, and trust. I just thought, like, oh, that's the recipe for miracles, right?
It is. That's great. That's the recipe for miracles.
Yeah, I love it.
I love you guys.
I am super curious about this, the 5-day processed sugar swap challenge. And I want to hear more. I want to hear more about this. Like, I'm kind of I'm excited. Like, I want to try something.
And the book.
Yeah. Oh, geez. Yeah.
Piece of cake.
Duh. Yeah. Like,
the secret to the anti-inflammatory diet. Yes.
And notice it's PEACE because we have to make peace.
Peace, right? Leave it to you. I love that.
I love that. I would love if you could tell me and everybody else a little bit more about this. I'd love to hear about it because I'm pretty inspired. Like I feel like I'm ready to take a challenge.
Thank you, Nick. Yeah. So you guys, my when we make things super, like we just unpacked so much about healing, and while there's so many nuggets, like it is a process. If someone were to listen and be like, okay, I want to apply everything that we just shared, right? That is a journey. It's a process. That took me 5 years. So the 5 days processed sugar swap challenge is all about giving some people a super actionable, simple, easy, and delicious steps that people can do to melt inflammation from their body so they can begin feeling better now, right? Let's get the neurotransmitter production back up and running. Let's melt the inflammation. Let's physiologically get back to a place where we feel like we can open up our hearts to hope, belief, and trust, right? So it's like this journey and it's this process. And the very first thing we can do is swap out processed sugar for options that taste similar but don't inflame. So you can still have muffins and pizza and cake and cookies, but anti-inflammatory style.
I like that.
Yeah.
All right. I like to cook a lot too. So this is kind of exciting for me because I have my go-tos. I love them. They're really good. And I also know that I'm just not knowledgeable enough to always know like, well, what's the things that I can kind of substitute or how can I play with this to upgrade it and have it be more healthful than it can be.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, totally. I hear you. Well, this is the recipes I share, because my son had a sensory condition, and I won't go too long into this, but he had a severe sensory condition, so bad, a drop of water would land on his shirt when he was little and he'd scream and he'd say, it hurts, mama. He wanted to tear it off. And so because I had experienced so much healing through anti-inflammatory eating, and he would eat healthy at home, but he'd go to school or parties and whatever. So I said, okay, we're doing a science experiment because that's kind of how I look at life. We're doing a 2-week science experiment, and I'm going to pack all of your food. We're going to take out processed sugar, wheat, cow dairy, refined oils, GMOs, the top 5 inflammatory foods. And I'm going to make you delicious foods. And we're going to see if it makes a difference. And in 2 weeks, it significantly improved. In 2 months, you guys, his sensory condition was 85% better.
Wow.
Bingo. Is he still, your whole family probably super clean, right?
Yeah. My husband's like getting there, right? So there's different kind of degrees, but yes, everyone's super inspired. The kids eat that way. And my mission, how this ties into this challenge and also the recipes in my book is I now had, at the time, I had a 2-year-old. I was teaching middle school, which I don't think you guys probably don't know. I taught middle school for 10 years.
Yeah.
Wow. Been in the trenches.
In the trenches. I was deep in the trenches. And I was like, how am I going to maintain this way of eating for my son and I without me feeling overwhelmed, without him feeling deprived? And that was kind of like my driving mission statement.
So how can people find your challenge?
Yeah, so you guys can go to www.jennycarrhealth. It's JENNYCARR health.com. And on the top right corner of the page, you'll see a green button that says sign up for the challenge. So you can sign up for the challenge there. And also, if you scroll to the bottom of the website, I'm giving away a free copy of my international best-selling book, Piece of Cake, The Secret to an Anti-Inflammatory Diet, where I talk about the top 6 inflammatory foods, how to swap them out. And then there's over 40 beautiful full color recipes in it. Super fun.
I love it. And we'll have that link in our show notes too, but I just want everybody to hear it. I think we're going to be grabbing that.
Oh, we're definitely going to be grabbing that. Yeah, I'm stoked. It reminds me also, and I'm really curious about this because I was just watching an episode of Chef's Table. I super geek out on that show. I just love it. Cool. And one of them is a monk, or excuse me, a nun. She's a Buddhist nun, and she's just amazing chef. And she talks in there just a little bit, like it was just like a teaser of, how they cook for the ashram for spiritual development. She talks so much about spiritual energy. And it seems to me like already in what I'm hearing is like, there are definitely some overlap there of calming the body, getting the inflammation out of it. And not only does it allow your body, I think, to be more resilient, but also your mind to be more still, more calm. And it's such a beautiful thing. So I can't wait to dive into it.
Well, and I want to add to that. Through the energy work that we do, we also know that for instance, when food is loved on, it goes into the body way differently when rather than it's hated. Somebody could have an organic farm and dread their job and the food's not going to feel good. I just want to highlight the love in you, Jenny, like what you put into like just your essence through this cookbook and through the challenge in and of itself is going to heal so many people.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
It's
fun. Such an important aspect. Yeah.
Fun, love, joy. Like it should be a part of our healing. And when we do take the inflammation out, I keep saying last note, there's so many fun things to talk about. But when we take the inflammation out on a spiritual level, we're able to connect to that, God, divine, whatever it is, like we're able to connect to that higher energy so much more easily.
Mm-hmm. There's less distraction, right? When there's discomfort, the human senses get drawn to that discomfort. And the cleaner we are, the vessel, the more heightened the intuition. I love that. Yeah. Before we sign off, I want to say, everyone, please get to this book. Nick, could you read that once more?
Yeah, there's a 5-day challenge, which I'm definitely taking.
Okay.
You don't have to join me. I know I get it. 5-day processed sugar swap. And you can find that at www.jenny, Jenny, Carr, Carr Health, all one word, jennycarrhealth.com. And then apparently all the way at the bottom is the book. The free, so you can go ahead and get a free copy of the book. Definitely grabbing that. So that's where you find it.
And so I want to really inspire and urge everyone to check this out, because the teachings, the energy, the knowledge, the experience you're going to get from this human, Jenny, who's gone through really hell and back, I have no doubt, to serve humanity. It's like, that's a rare opportunity. So I want everyone to hear that. And then Jenny, from you, any last words you'd like to share with our listeners?
I just love you all. Like I'm so grateful to be here. I'm so grateful to be connected with you and also to all of the listeners. And if anyone is struggling with a chronic condition, no matter what it may be, I want you to know that I believe in you and that there is so much healing waiting in store for you.
I love that.
It's beautiful. Thank you so much for being with us today.
For sure. Yeah. Thanks, Jenny. And thanks, Nick. And to all of our listeners. Wow, this is a great episode to share with the people you love, because you never know who might be struggling and they haven't really put their finger on it. So please share this episode so everyone can get a dose of Jenny Carr. And till next time, much love.
Namaste.